Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is indeed the, the Professional Development Consortium of Hampton Roads presentation on bringing project management into association leadership. And of course, I'm not doing this. The local chapter of the Project Management Institute of Hampton Roads, will be leading the conversation this morning. Just a quick little bit of housekeeping and who the heck am I and what is this? My name is indeed Mark Bowers. I am the founder and executive director of the Professional Development Consortium of Hampton Roads. PDCHR is all about bringing affordable, yes, like today, free and accessible education to people who run membership associations. So that's professional societies, like, for example, PMI Hampton Roads, could be a civic league, could be a sorority order, could be an alumni chapter, it could be the local gathering of left-handers and right-hander world. It doesn't really matter what folks gather about for us, just so long as they gather about a common interest or a common practice. So we provide education on how to lead this particular niche of the world. So with that, I am going to say thank you once again for being here. We'll be monitoring the chat room. And with this, I'm going to turn it over to the president of Project Management Institute of Hampton Roads, Mr. Dan Hay. So Dan, it is all yours, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for that welcome, and thanks for hosting us for this event. So we're glad to be here with you all. We're going to do some quick PMI Hampton Roads chapter business. So a lot of our folks, I see a lot of names of some of our board members, other volunteers, and some of our other past board members and regular attendees to our events. So thank you all for coming. Really excited to see you here today. So I'm going to go over a few things, just we'll call it chapter business real quick. Let me just queue up my screen sharing for you. All right, quickly get rid of the behind the scenes stuff here and chapter business. So it's kind of funny. Mark's organization is called PDCHR. Every year, PMIHR has a PDC. So our team, as we've had discussions about different things, and you say PDCHR, I think their brain kind of just adjusts a little bit to make sure we're talking about the right thing. So our PDC is our Professional Development Conference, which I'll talk about here right now. So that is August 26th. So we usually do it every year in August or September. I think it's been as late as October before, but every year we do this to give back in a big way to our community and help to make sure that we provide opportunities to learn, to listen to some great speakers. We have one of the founders of the PMP assessment that will be in attendance. His name is Lee. I'm forgetting his last name, but Martin will tell me. So, but he is going to be Lambert. Thank you, Lee Lambert. Thank you, Martin. So Lee is going to be in attendance. We're really excited about that. And then we have the CEO of Spectrum Communications doing a keynote a little later in the day. So we have two keynotes, multiple great speakers that the team has assembled. So I saw Jay Morales is our VP of Special Projects. She is on today, and she's been leading that effort to pull this together. So we're going to be at the Westin and in Virginia Beach at the town center. So that'll be a great day to get some PDUs and connect with some other people. So it's going to be a great time. So the big button here, if you could click that, you'd go to our website under events and you'd find a lot of great information that Tanika from our marketing team has put together to share this event with you. And then I'm connecting all the dots here. Kirsten and the operations team have a great registration process that they built out, so you can register right now for that. If you wait, it costs more, so register today. All right, some other upcoming events. So Pints and PDUs is the next thing coming up this coming Tuesday at the Barrel Room in Chesapeake. So Mark Reedy, our past president, found this location for us and worked with Richard Flannery, our VP of Local Communities, to pull this event together. So you're catching on a theme as I connect the dots with all our different volunteers that are helping with all this. So that's this coming Tuesday. It's a great opportunity to network. I think we've got quite a few people already signed up, so that's shaping up to be a really good event. I mentioned the other big event in August is the Professional Development Conference. In September, we have a meeting that is virtual. That is Managing Troubled Projects with Jacqueline Dennis. So that's going to be 6 to 8 p.m. on September 7th. And then in October, we've got one of our own, Ryan Haig, who's Director of Communications for the chapter. He is a great speaker. He's going to be talking on hacking the human layer. So I couldn't even tell you exactly what area of the triangle that equates to. I don't think we figured that out, but Ryan's actually the guy that figures that out for us. So we'll be putting that in the information on our website when we post that. So October 5th, 5:30 to 8 at the Westin in Virginia Beach Town Center. And then we'll have another event in October, PDUs for the People. It could be a Pints and PDUs, but that's another networking opportunity. So those are some of our upcoming events. There'll likely be some other things that will pop up in the coming weeks and days. So the other thing I'll share with you is I got a QR code on the screen. We encourage you to check out one of our partners, IIL Advantage program. So this is, they provide content for us and learning opportunities, discounted training programs. And we've worked with them to put together this site to give you an outline of the opportunities to learn with IIL. All right, moving ahead, I'm gonna keep on time. So the other thing is we're in multiple social media places. So encourage you to connect with us out there. Again, Tanika and the marketing team do a great job of putting information that's relevant out there. Especially if you follow LinkedIn, you'll notice a lot of different postings about the speakers for our upcoming PDC, as well as other information about other events and any number of things. So check that out on any one of those platforms, and we'd love to connect with you there. So we'll be doing a drawing at the end of the presentations. We'll be giving away one free ticket to the PDC on August 26th. So some of you that have already bought your ticket, if you win it, you can gift it to someone else. We encourage you to do that. This is I don't know what is the current cost, Kirsten? 120, 130?
For members, it is one. Why do you put me on the spot like this?
Sorry. So it costs.
It is for members, it's $139, I believe, and for non-members, it is $149 currently.
So if you'd like to attend that PDC, we're going to give one of those away at the end of this. So with that, thank you for joining us. I'm going to switch over real quick. That concludes our chapter business for today. I'm going to switch and put on a different hat for a moment. I can figure out how to move this thing. There we go. So jumping right in, I was going to share a little bit today about something that I'm very passionate about, and that's helping other people understand how to learn and grow through strengths. So a little bit about myself and why I'm able to talk on this topic. So it's good news, we're a little bit ahead of schedule. So I'm going to clip along because we've got 3 action-packed presentations, and I don't want to take too much time away or any time away from the other presenters. So let me jump in. So there's me, the picture in the corner. I'm also on screen wearing the Hawaiian shirt. But one of my passions is biking. I like to road bike. Before that, I did a lot of mountain biking before I moved to this area, but there's not a ton of off-roading right in the immediate area here in Hampton Roads. I learned after moving here. So took up road biking, consider myself a mammal, middle-aged man in Lycra. And that's been a great fun for me, and also a great way to let off some steam. So I've been a strengths-based leader and coach for about 20 years. I was part of a group quite a long time ago at Best Buy that Gallup tested with, and I'll tell you more about that in a moment. I've been a program project manager for more than 20 years in various organizations, mostly retail. My top 5, there's 34 talent themes that Gallup has identified through their, they call it Clifton Strengthsfinder now, harmony, positivity, adaptability, developer, and belief. And if you'd like to learn more about that, I'd love to tell you about my top 5 and what that means to me. Obviously, I'm a project management professional. That has been a great experience for me. I got mine in August of 2013, and I joined the. Sorry, someone's not on mute.
Yeah.
Check your mute.
I've lost to wear them like slippers though. He loves them. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Someone want to mute them? Thank you. All right. So anyway, so I've enjoyed being a part of the local Hampton Roads PMI chapter in a few different capacities over the years. And I'm a husband of soon to be 29 years next week, and a father of 4 children from 22 down to 16. So 3 boys and a girl. This is my leadership brand statement. I lead individuals and groups collaboratively with influential enthusiasm, capitalizing on the moment to unleash strengths and advance potential in all aspects of their lives. While that might sound kind of cheesy to some of you or pitchy, it's not meant to be that. It actually reflects each of my top 5 talent themes as a way that I see them play out in my day-to-day interactions. All right. Oops, can't get my slide to advance. There we go. So my journey with strengths and the Gallup Strengthsfinder started with this book back in, I think it was 99 or 2000. I had learned my management style through a lot of different avenues. Some of them were good, some of them were not. But one of the things I picked up on was I looked at a lot of people and I said, how do I fix them, right? If they have issues, I'm going to tell them how they need to get better. How can I fix them? This book transformed me, my thinking at least, around focusing on what people were good at and helping them to be better at that. So it changed the perception, and it focuses a lot on the fact that people leave managers, not organizations. So this book, highly recommend it. It's older, but it's still really relevant to a lot of applications today. So I encourage you to look at that. Then it moved to Now Discover Your Strengths, and that led right into the Gallup Strengthsfinder, or Clifton Strengths, they call it today. First Break All the Rules also introduces something called Q12, which is an engagement tool that asks questions like, do I have a best friend at work? Does my boss care about me as a person? Do I have the tools to do my job? And 9 other questions. So, so those 2 together focus leadership on helping people perform more effectively through strengths. So again, revolutionary for me and my thinking as a leader, and my ability to impact and influence others changed as a result of these 2 things in great ways. So when you do Gallup Strengthsfinder, you take an assessment. It takes anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour, depending on the person, but it is timed. Like the questions are timed. If you don't answer quick enough, it forces you forward. So it asks questions about your tendencies, things you're attracted to, things you're interested in, and based upon that assessment, which is based on many years of Gallup research, that they identified these 34 predominant themes. They interviewed people down from janitor to CEO in multiple organizations, and as a result, the assessment helps people understand more about themselves. And that's what truly gives me passion around the subject. Is developer in my top 5 is all about helping someone grow from one place to another so that they can make a bigger impact in the world around them. So the assessment, when you get it, it's a reflection of a 1 in 7 billion configuration. As you mix the top 5 and reorder them and have different combinations, it is truly unique. It's the thumbprint of an individual talent. It demonstrates how performance is influenced by energy and excellence. So I'll talk more about that in a moment as well. And finally, it's the pinnacle of your contribution to a team. So if you operate in your strengths, you're giving your best. So example, if Dan Hay was asked, we know we have our director of finance on here. If Dan Hay was asked to take over for our director of finance, the chapter would not run very well, because that's not my passion. I'm not a numbers guy. I love to partner with numbers people and ensure that we have the right things. I definitely know what reports and things that I want to see to make sure we're heading the right direction. But if I was asked to operate in spreadsheets 24/7, day in and day out, I would not be operating in my strengths. So my pinnacle of the contribution to a team is different than that. All right, so there's a quick equation. So I just got done saying I'm not interested in or good at math, but this is the best or closest I'll come to a math equation. So when you get your assessments, if you take the Clifton Strengths Assessment, you'll get a talent theme back at a minimum. So that just means, say, harmony for me. When I first read that description of harmony, I didn't really resonate with it. So it really indicated it wasn't a strength. I had tendencies or leanings or interest in harmony, but it wasn't a strength for me. Over years, I had a knowledge and a demonstrated skill. Multiply that times experience, then it develops into a strength. So we don't want to confuse strength with talent. All right. So again, moving here quickly, checking my time. So Gallup recently, last year, released a report on what they learned from 25 million assessments. So as of last year, it was 25 million. I think it's up to 27 million now as of this year. So they continue to grow across multiple countries. I actually just got a report recently that shows the top themes across countries in the US, or not, I'm sorry, in the world.
Kind of neat it up, and fix, tape up the box.
Looks like they're not on mute again.
And then
thank you. Make sure you check your mute, folks. You might not realize it, but you're talking to the group. All right, so 25 million assessments. The implications of increasing employee engagement are, and these are pretty big numbers, but I've included the link to where they have the detailed analytics on this. 81% lower absenteeism. So Gallup has been using this in multiple workplaces now for 20 years. And it makes a difference in the environment. 64% fewer safety incidents. So this is when people are operating through their strengths. 41% fewer defects. 14% higher productivity. 10% higher customer ratings. 18% higher sales. 23% higher profitability. Whoops. And so there's more, but these are some of the top things that they found through their assessments. Again, with 25 million assessments banked, now even more, it's a pretty significant impact when they operate through strengths. And this also ties in with the Gallup Q12. You don't have to necessarily have that to go and understand and seek to grow your talent themes into strengths. But when this is when it's operated inside of or implemented inside of a work environment, where all of the individuals understand their strengths, know what they are, and they're encouraged to operate within them. So tying this into leadership, and what does it have to do with us and as project managers and leaders of organizations? Well, it definitely ties in with the book I pointed to at the beginning about first breaking all the rules and then discovering your strengths. It all ties into leadership 100%. So leadership definition, the position or function of a leader, a person who guides or directs a group. Okay. I put synergy on here. I like to talk about that not as a nerdy term that's overused, but as an actual term that has true meaning. So the definition is really good. The interaction or cooperation of two or more organizations. So PDCHR, PMI Hampton Roads, we have synergy. Substances or other agents to produce a combined effect greater than the sum of their separate effects. So if you think of a team, you've got all the individuals on the team that operate slightly differently. They look at the world differently. They maybe align on some things, but they have distinctly individual uniqueness. And that taking all of those differences, understanding them, and then melding them together creates an organization or a team. So PMI Hampton Roads, a team. I mentioned a lot of different people that are involved in helping to make everything we do happen. So like it or not, folks, we have synergy. All right, so talking more on that note about teams, high performance teams have a passion to improve. We haven't arrived. We haven't figured out all of the answers to all the questions. We're still seeking to improve day in and day out. The other thing is all strengths are recognized. So there isn't anyone that is, because of their talent, themes, or strengths, somehow is elevated better than another person on the team. All those strengths play a unique part in the success of the group. And if we recognize all of them, we're better for it because people are able to operate more effectively, efficiently, and deliver greater results. And the final one on there is everyone is necessary and no one is sufficient. So you think of, and some of you that know me will laugh because I'm going to use a sports analogy, which I'm not a big sports guy, but I do know who Michael Jordan is and the Bulls. So Michael Jordan was not sufficient to do what he did as a team member on the Bulls, right? He was definitely the star player for a while, but he was not sufficient in and of himself. It took that whole team to pull off what they pulled off multiple times to have success. So if you look at a team, there's no one that, you know, is light years better than anyone else. If you just had them standing alone, they're going to be able to do what a whole team can do. So very important to recognize that as you look at a high performance team. More on teams. So strong teams have a common purpose. So if you think about, you've got a ton of dots. I'll use my fingers here if you're seeing me on camera. A ton of dots, and these dots all have a different direction. They're all going, the one's going this way, one's going that way. They're all going in different directions. If they're all going in different directions, they don't have a common purpose, and they're not going to get to any like destination. So if you take those dots though, and you point them all in one direction, and they're moving that way, that common purpose is huge. It makes a big difference. But even if you have one of those dots going in the opposite direction, that causes pull. So if you really get people rallied around a cause, you can make a big impact. Strong teams get organizational priorities. So if you think about what is the organization trying to achieve? In Hampton Roads, for the PMI chapter, we're trying to give value back to our members to help them move forward in the profession of project management. So I think we all understand that. We all have that common purpose in mind. And we underlay that with, we want to deliver as much value back to our members as possible. So I'm thankful to say that I believe, based on feedback from our members, we're doing that, and we want to continue that in years to come. So focus on results. Strong teams focus on results. So I had a leader a number of years ago, and I keep checking my time, that in order to check on how well the team is doing, that person would walk around the office and make sure there was butts and seats. Right. Unfortunately, that really doesn't mean you're getting results. That just means there's people there sitting at a desk looking at a computer. So really important to understand, what are we trying to achieve? Are we achieving that? Right. And celebrate that with the team. That's what happens when you focus on the results. Strong teams are committed to work and personal life. Definitely know this in a volunteer organization, because we're doing everything we do on top of our day jobs. We're committed to understanding the needs of everyone on the team for both their work and personal life, right? And recognizing that we're whole people. Strong teams embrace diversity. So in whatever form that comes in, we embrace it, because we're better for understanding it. We're better for taking in the differences that we have as individuals, and creating a team that can work with all of those differences and create something better. The last piece is, strong teams are magnets for talent. So when others look in on that, they want to be a part of it. They want to experience what they see other people experiencing, and the team members want to see talented individuals join the team, because they don't want to work with someone who wants to join and then kind of phone it in. So very important that all these things are understood to create a strong team. All right, so as a team member on a team, and as you tie this into whatever application you're doing, any of this could go in your home life, in the team of a family or your spouse, the team of coworkers, team of volunteers, wherever it goes. The important thing for you is that you be a team player. First thing you can do is learn who you are. This ties a little bit into emotional intelligence. I don't have time today to get deeply into that, but emotional intelligence is, if someone lacks that, they don't really understand who they are, and they might be getting stuff done, but often other people have a really difficult time with how they approach getting things done, because they're not self-aware. So understand how others in your life see the world. So the Strengthsfinder assessments are a really neat tool that helps you to be able to do that. Again, Clifton Strengths, they changed the name a couple of years ago, and I keep saying it incorrectly. But if you gain that understanding, if I learn about someone else's top 5, it tells me a lot about them and how they see the world. And if I approach them through the lens of their strengths, I can relate to them much more efficiently and effectively than if I don't have that understanding. So the other piece you want to, when you understand your strengths, you want to engage other people with your best stuff. They're going to have the best experience. You're going to have the best experience. It's going to make a big difference. And then understand how to best utilize their best stuff. So other people come to the table with something different than you. If you employ that along with your strengths and others, we make a bigger difference in the world around us. A little more on leadership. So the most effective leaders build trust with their team. If you don't have trust, you can't move forward. There's a lot of second guessing. There's it causes you to go much slower in trying to get things done because people are asking more questions and they don't understand the direction or vision, or they just don't know who you are as an individual and what you come to the table with. Effective leaders create hope. Kind of goes back to those dots I was talking about before. Where's the hope? Cast that path or paint the path forward for where the hope is and help people learn how to get on board with whatever that is. People that don't have hope, it's very difficult to move forward, and it's really depressing, frankly, if there's no hope. Effective leaders provide stability. If things are changing so fast and there's no anchors to latch onto, it's really difficult to follow and to pursue the hope that I mentioned before. Effective leaders show compassion to the individuals on their team. Again, as whole people, we've come to the table with all kinds of different things that are going on. So understand that. It doesn't mean you need to compromise on trying to pursue the goal, but we need to understand where people are having trouble keeping up with whatever else is going on. Most effective leaders always invest in strengths. It's not about trying to fix people and point to their issues and tell them how bad they are. It's about trying to help them to understand what it is they're good at and employ them into that as much as possible. Effective leaders understand the followers' needs. So again, do they have the tools to do the job? How do they see the world, and how might you be causing friction through how you approach them or engage them? And then the last piece, the most effective leaders surround themselves with the right people to maximize teams. So very important that we understand those individuals we add to the team. If you hire a bad seed, for example, it can really cause a lot of disruption. So take your recruiting and the people that you surround yourself with very, very critically, and make sure that you're pulling in folks that they don't have to have it all figured out, because I often engage with folks that might have challenges and try to help them improve, but they have to have that passion to improve. If they don't have that, unless you can help them get that in some way, shape, or form, I would challenge you to put that person on the team, because they'll drag the rest of the folks down. All right. This is one piece I'm going to touch on briefly for two reasons. One, to show you all 34 of the talent themes that Gallup identified, and then also show you how they've organized them into 4 domains of leadership. So whether or not you saw the lower half of the screen and the 34 strengths, the 4 domains of leadership are effective in understanding kind of how leadership works, right? We have executing themes that are all about making things happen. So my top 5 belief is one of the executing themes. Then you have influencing themes. This is all about how people get involved, to take charge, to have the voice for a group and make sure others are heard. So that's all about influencing. One of these on here is a made-up word. You see WOO down here. This is an acronym for winning others over. So if someone has WOO, that's I think it's number 6 for me. That is, you've never met a stranger. You can work a room and talk to people, and they feel like they've just met their best friend. So relationship building, this is where almost all 4 of the 5 of my top 5 are in relationship building. So this is all about, as it says, relationships. It's the glue that holds a team together and builds strong relationships. And then finally, strategic thinking. This is I call it a seeing theme. Some of these themes look at the details, analytical. Some of them look at history, context. Some of them look forward, futuristic ideation. Some of them like to collect information. Some of them like to do deep thinking, and some of them can see, like strategic, can see things other people can't see and put things together and access kind of an idea generator. So there's a lot more here I could go into much more deeply, but when you understand the 4 domains of leadership, and if you put together an analysis for a team, and this is a busy slide, but I'll explain why I'm showing it. This is for a group I just did a workshop for. You see 32 people down here in the right. It was actually earlier this week. And when you put a team together in this context and you analyze all of their themes together, you see some indicators. In this group, you see responsibility was their most significant theme. So very responsible group. And then they're kind of spread, not quite evenly, but spread across the other themes. And then this analysis here helps you to understand how many people have themes in that domain and how many themes are represented. So this part at the bottom explains responsibility. We bring dependability and loyalty. As a team, we need freedom to take ownership. And then as a team, we're motivated by the respect of others. So these aren't always 100% prescriptive, but I can tell you in my experience of doing over 70 coaching sessions and now 16 workshops, it rings pretty true. Usually if an individual doesn't resonate with their top 5, it's because they're talent themes that haven't been developed into strengths. And once they embrace that and understand it, they feel energy and excellence. So if you picture a 2-lane highway, so folks that are local, Elbow Road, you're trying to drive down Elbow Road, it's slow, there's a lot of risk, you could go off into the ditch, compared to a well-working, I say that very specifically, well-working 4 or 6-lane highway, traffic flows, right? At least it's supposed to. Everybody here is probably rolling their eyes about that. But the idea is a highway is working as it's intended is really your excellence compared to a 2-lane road. That's what strengths does, and that's what understanding it from a leadership standpoint can do for you as well as you apply them, learn about them, and engage others with them. So that's it. That was quick. I'm actually done a little bit early. I'm going to stop for a second and see if you have any questions. Note that the PDU claim code for those that are in the project management PMI space, you want to register your PDU, you can do that with that code. So, anyone have any questions? I rolled through very quickly, so hopefully you were able to capture some notes. Also, the recording will be out there so you can slow it down and go back and review some of the slides I put together. So I'll pause. What do we have for questions or comments?
If you do have a question, use the hands up feature. It's probably the best because there's 63 people in the room, so just physically waving won't work very well. Dan, I don't see anything right now in the chat room, though.
All right. Kirsten.
You may have mentioned this, but where can we find the assessment?
I did not mention it, probably because I was trying to roll through quickly, but if you go to just search for Gallup, or actually Clifton Strengths, search for Clifton Strengths. Gallup has a portal, and I believe it's only $19.99 to take the assessment. And you can do that directly on Gallup's website. I see Ming asked how to build trust. So sometimes that can be difficult. I know just in my experience with coming into a new situation, you want to understand a little bit about the environment you're in or the individual and why they might have distrust. Sometimes it's based on just things that they have as perceptions about you as an individual or things that have happened previously in their life. Or in an organization, sometimes it's about issues that have occurred in that organization in the past. So getting an understanding of those things is really important. I think a lot of times it's all about just sitting down with the person that you're experiencing, distrust with, and just putting it out in the open and having a respectful conversation. And that does take a little bit of emotional intelligence, because I know for me, a lot of times I think as I work through things, I have to stop the little 2-year-old in my head that wants to be prideful and get angry very quickly in situations. If I stop that little 2-year-old and think first about how my actions will influence the situation to have a better outcome, that helps a lot. So hopefully that helps me. Thank you, Tanika, for posting the link. Great. Anybody else?
Ben, I saw you had your hand up briefly. Did you want to jump in? I'll just, if you wave your hand, that means come on in.
I was just commenting that I believe those assessments and the 12 questions are copyrighted, so you won't find those 12 questions out there generally posted on the internet.
Yeah, you can find them on Gallup's site, and there are people that have posted them. So if you're curious about them, like I said, if you search, you can find it.
But I wouldn't post them myself on
No.
on the website.
Right. All right. Well, I will turn it over to Martin for his presentation. Oh, I'm sorry, it's Kirsten. We talked about that ahead of time. I just messed it up. So Kirsten.
I thought you were putting me on the spot, Dan.
Sorry.
All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me know when you guys can see it. I'm going to go to.
Looks good, Kirsten. Thanks.
Awesome. All right. We are going to start in the beginning. So first off, everybody, welcome. Dan, thank you for that awesome presentation. I think mine is going to complement going after you very well. So let's dive in. In person, this is way more interactive, so we're going to see what we can do virtually. If we were in person, I would say clap one time. So if everyone can hit the clap emoji or the reaction at the bottom, that would be great. And then if we can clap 2 times, if you can hit it again, that would be awesome, just to make sure we're still all here. Okay, great. So about me. 1, my name is Kirsten. I have 10 years of project management and coaching experience. I am a certified PMP and a Scrum Master. My project management experience mostly comes from the government contracting space. I've worked for various agencies all throughout DoD, FBI, and in industry as well. My coaching experience comes from coaching cheerleading. Kind of shocking, I know, but yep, I coach cheerleading. I am currently the Vice President of Operations for the PMI Hampton Roads chapter. I am a Navy wife and ombudsman for the Harry S. Truman. I started my company, Ledlum and Associates, back in October of 2021. And basically, I provide project management, business operations, and proposal support for small businesses that are in their first 1 to 3 years. I think there's something in the chat already. Oh, no, that's a thank you to Dan. Okay, cool. So my presentation today is working harder, not smarter, or I'm sorry, working smarter, not harder, using your soft skills to empower your team to deliver winning results. Let's see if it'll let me advance. Why? Okay, there we go. So the challenge for today is, how can you use soft skills to drive your project approach, empower your employees, and deliver winning results? Seems like a pretty straightforward challenge for a lot of workplaces. A lot of challenges as leaders, how do we think and get our teams to be on the winning side? So we're going to dive into that from a more interpersonal perspective today. First, what are soft skills? Aside from what you see on the slide, you can drop in the chat. What do soft skills mean to you? That can be communication, people skills. What comes to mind when you guys think of soft skills? Anybody? That's okay. So soft skills are, okay, chat's going crazy. Yes, those are all awesome. responses and spot on. And Ben, I love that sense of humor is right on target. So soft skills defined from Google pretty much are personal attributes that support situational awareness that enhance an individual's ability to get the job done. I've listed just some essential soft skills here. These are actually more on a high level. Emotional intelligence, there's a lot to unpack there. Team player attitude, growth mindset, all of the items listed here basically are a form of a soft skill or a people skill. So diving in, how do you build your soft skills? Not everyone considers themselves a people person, which is normal. Not everyone is an introvert and not everyone's an extrovert. Some of us split the pool. Despite popular belief, I'm actually very introverted, but I'm an introvert that has extrovert tendencies. Sometimes it drives me a little crazy. But when you think about building your soft skills, there's really 3 things to keep in mind. And going on what Dan just mentioned in his presentation, knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses is the first step to knowing what soft skills you want to build. You may be great at communication, but you're very weak when it comes to time management. There's a level of soft skill to build there. Step 2 would be giving yourself space to work on those skills. A couple ways that you can create space to work on those skills is sharing with your leadership or your colleagues for that matter. Hey guys, like I really want to improve my email communication. I feel like I'm not connecting with folks. I feel like I'm not getting responses. So engage your leadership and let them know that you're trying to get better in this particular area so they can start providing you feedback and keeping that in mind when they're speaking with you, letting you know, hey, you're actually getting a lot more positive response, a lot more feedback when you're communicating with folks. Keep it up. I see that you're working hard there. Another area, an opportunity to give yourself space to work on your skills is letting your team know, hey guys, I'm really trying to improve my soft skills and I really am trying to work on connecting with you all more. So don't be alarmed if I stop by your desk and say hello and how was your weekend if they're not used to you doing that. It might catch some folks off guard if suddenly you're chatting with them and engaging with them outside of just tasking them. So giving your team the heads up that you're going to be working on those skills is going to be a huge step because that's also going to contribute to the accountability and growing that connection with your team. Step 3 is be patient with your process and the progress. When you're adjusting a communication style or working hard to be on time or shifting from a more I'm only going to direct to a I'm going to coach my team a little bit more. Sometimes that process gets a little tricky and frustrating, and it's kind of hard to see if it's actually working. So just give yourself time and be patient and just watch yourself grow and watch your team enhance as you work on those soft skills. And I see some things in the chat. I'm just going to peek over there. Oh, yes. I see there's quite a few folks that are introverts with the extrovert tendency. So you guys can relate. Everyone thinks you're always on, but sometimes you're like inside. I might not be. So I appreciate that there's other folks that can relate to that. All right. So now that we know what soft skills are, now that we have an idea of how to build them, how can we use them? So when you think about using soft skills, we have to keep in mind that these are already things that we do on a day-to-day basis. We send emails, we engage with our friends, our colleagues, our business associates. We get tasks, we complete tasks, we show up to meetings, We facilitate meetings. These are things that are already in practice. We're just trying to make them better. And I say that in a sense of our work environment, networking environment, professional interacting environments have changed drastically over the last couple of years. I heard we were in a pandemic. So now that we are back in person for a lot of things, now that we're back in the office for some of us, we're realizing that how we communicated before may not get the same reaction now. So where you used to be able to email your team and say, Kirsten, I need you to do X, Y, and Z by 3 o'clock. Thanks. And that's the email, and things would get done. Fast forward to July 2022, those emails aren't getting responded to in the same manner they did 3 years ago, if they get a response now. So our communication methods are different. Showing empathy in the workforce and in the workplace, a lot of us, you know, when we entered the workforce, you can't be emotional at work. You don't share your personal business at work. You don't connect on that level with your colleagues. But fast forward to, again, July 2022, it is almost impossible to be in a workplace without empathy anymore, without a level of compassion, without a level of connection. And that same sentiment of what used to work and what now is different, creativity. There's so many different ways to get things done. And I think we've learned that over the last few years, going from in the office every day to teleworking, to hybrid working, and things along those lines. So we have touched into a level of creativity. So when it comes down to soft skills, how can we use our soft skills for that? We're going to try new approaches. Okay. We have to be okay with, if our focus is time management, because we always run a little bit late because that's just us. If we want to work on being better, we can set simple milestones. I want to be 5 minutes early to every engagement. Sometimes it's easier said than done, but that's a good, soft skill that we can improve on. But the flip side of that is you can't just be 5 minutes early for your own engagements. You have to be 5 minutes early for all meetings, because now folks are going to expect you to be on time. So trying new approaches, being the adjustment we want to see. So if we want an empathetic leader, we should probably start showing empathy to our teams. And sometimes empathy is as simple as, how was your weekend? Oh, you had a tough weekend? Wow, I completely understand. Well, I hope this week is better. Small acts of empathy are so easily implemented, but oftentimes are overthought, so we don't do it. The next thing would be letting go. This goes along with like creativity, even negotiation styles as well. You have to be okay with letting go with the things that aren't working. Again, our workforce and our interactions professionally are so different than they have been for like the last decade. So that being said, using statements of, well, we do it this way because that's what we've always done, are no longer applicable. We have to be okay with trying new approaches and letting go with the things that used to keep our projects, or really any situations, over budget, incomplete, things along those lines. We have to be okay with letting go of what we've always done so we can try and improve on new things. I see there's a couple things in the chat, so I'm going to peek at that real quick. Oh, guilty of speed reading emails. Yes, I do that all the time. So true. Yep. So you guys can definitely relate to what I'm saying, especially when it comes down to email communication. And another way that we can use our soft skills, especially as leaders and tenured professionals, coaching and mentoring. Coaching and mentoring is something that not only helps us in our capacity, but it helps who's coming next. Because I feel like we've all worked in an environment where you've left and you see a colleague at the grocery store and they're like, man, everything went downhill after you left. You never want to be that leader that the experience, that the knowledge, that the morale leaves when you leave. And all of that is part of soft skills and how you're communicating. And are you being creative in your approaches? Are you being empathetic as a leader? So all of these things really tie together with how we engage our employees and our colleagues and our fellow business professionals. All right, so in the beginning, I said it's about soft skills and empowering your team to deliver winning results. So when it comes down to empowering your team, actually, I'm going to back up and I'm going to ask you guys a question. When it comes to empowering your team, what does that mean to you when you think of I'm empowering my team? You can drop it in the chat or you can unmute yourself and like throw out an answer. I'm open to that. All right. Well, we're going to dive into what empowering our team means. It's all good. Yes, that's a good one. Giving trust. Yep, absolutely. Very similar to some of the things that Dan touched on. So there's going to be a quiz coming up. I hope you guys are paying attention to both me and Dan. Unplanned quiz, actually. So why is team empowerment so important? And how do soft skills tie into that? One of the biggest reasons empowering your team is important is because your team represents themselves as a contributor to the team. They represent the organization and they represent you. So if you have a team that is notorious for not responding to others or being just a stonewall instead of a helper when it comes down to engaging with others, or they just flat out are unmotivated, not encouraged, or not active participants, that's all a representation of you as a leader because they are under your direction. So you want to make sure that you're empowering them to want to participate, to want to engage, not just within the team, but within the organization. Next thing is motivated teams perform more effectively and efficiently. So if your team knows that you trust them as a leader, knows that you're connected with them, like you can empathize and understand where they're coming from, they know that you encourage their creativity, they will work hard for you and for themselves because it's bigger than just that project when it comes down to motivating them. One bad leader can really impact someone's career, and we don't want that to happen. And then also good leaders build good leaders. Like I said previously, you never want to leave an organization or an event or really anywhere for that matter, and everyone thinks it went downhill. Maybe that makes us the life of the party as leaders. I don't know, but we definitely don't want the party to lull after we leave. And all of these are tied directly. Oh yes, I love that. Providing opportunities to lead and stepping back. That's a great one. We never want to be that leader that the spotlight is 100% on us. We want to make sure we're sharing the ball with our team. All right, so that leads into my next slide. Sorry, I'm going to peek at my clock real quick, make sure I'm not going over. How can we do it? How can we empower our team just, in our leadership, but also with our soft skills? Connect with your team. Whenever you're going into your weekly staff meeting or any type of huddle with your team, never dive directly into the business. Always do a check-in. And it can be as simple as, hey guys, we're going to go around the horn, but we're going to go around the horn for how's life? How are you guys doing this week? Everyone okay? Everyone doing good? Awesome. Then dive into the work. Why? Because at the end of the day, what employees, colleagues, peers have learned throughout the pandemic, which was pandemonium, we've all realized the work will always be there, but the connection with your team will not. So we want to make sure in our staff meetings, in our team huddles, we're doing a person check-in first and then diving into the work. That's like a quick, easy way to empower your team and make them feel seen as well. We want to coach our teams and build confidence. I have a lot of my PMI colleagues on the call, and they can attest to this. You got to give service with a smile. Coach your teams and give them opportunities. And so what that means is when the team gets a big task that might be out of your comfort zone or even the team in general's comfort zone, we're going to take that as a stretch opportunity, right? So we want to make sure that, hey, guys, I know your ability. I know your skills. This is a little out of our zone. We're going to work together. We're going to have a team player attitude. We're going to have a creative and growth mindset, and we're going to do this together. And the building confidence part is when your team gets frustrated, cheer them on. We don't have to coddle them. We don't have to shut them down, but we can encourage them. Hey, you know you can do this. We all believe in you. Keep going. If you're completely out of pocket, we'll stop you. But if not, keep going. And the same thing goes with us as leaders. You know, when we're connecting with our leadership, let them know, hey, as a team, we're driving toward this. This is a stretch for all of us. That gives your leader an opportunity to coach you up and build your confidence so you can relay that back to the team that you lead. The next point, and this actually goes to what someone just said in the chat. I apologize, I didn't see the name with this comment, but give your team time to shine. The best way to coach up your team, to build their confidence, to connect with them is to give them the opportunity. Junior employees or employees that are new to the workforce, colleagues that are new to a chapter, colleagues that are new to a networking circle won't know how to handle the environment unless they're given the time to shine. So what we can do as leaders, this comes with the situational awareness and, you know, connecting and really knowing our team, is giving them the opportunity. If you have the slide deck and you're going into the big meeting, bring your team to fill the wall seats, you know, and when it's time to brief out that slide, let your employee jump up and brief it. Why? Because they're the expert. And guess what? We're going to reroute those questions to them anyway. So why not give them the opportunity to get on the big stage? And the second, one of the next things is being consistent. This goes back to trusting your process and your progress as you're trying to grow your soft skills and being more empathetic and more connected and more of an open mindset. You can't do it for a month and then go back to you just walk into the office and don't speak to anyone. You have to be consistent. And consistency, I think, is what really helps us as leaders lock this in. Some leaders confuse empowering your team and developing your team. Yep, absolutely. They should be done together. That's a really great point, Scott. You're spot on with that. But yeah, being consistent is what really locks in your soft skill and your connection with your team. Because like I said, sometimes if your team's not used to you stopping by and saying good morning, they might look at you a little weird. But the more you do it, the more they'll say, oh, he is a human. She is a human. They are a human. They do want to get to know us. It becomes comfortable. So being consistent is what really drives all of this home. And being transparent also. I think as leaders, sometimes we forget that it's okay to have an off day. That's part of our emotional intelligence as leaders. You know, we're not going to get it right every time. Sometimes when we go into our leadership meetings, we will get chewed out. That's okay. And it's also okay to go back to our team and say, hey guys, we really got our hand hit for this action. We have to work together. Now we're getting creative, right? Growth mindset, team player mode kicks in. We have to get creative on our approach to rectify this, to right this wrong. So being transparent really does go a long way. And as leaders and as seasoned business professionals, sometimes I think we aren't, we kind of lose our human ability. Like we have to rehumanize ourselves sometimes and remind folks, hey, we get yelled at too sometimes as leaders. Sometimes we get things wrong, we have off days, and just being connected to that emotional intelligence really does go a long way. Oh yes, Leanne, that's an awesome point. Yep. I don't know if you guys are keeping an eye on the chat, but for the sake of time, I won't read it. All right, remember when I said that there's a quiz? It is quiz time. So if you know the answer, please drop it in the chat. I'm not going to read the team empowerment side because that's a lot. So make sure you keep that in mind. I'm going to say the soft skill and put which letter you think best matches that. We're going to go through this pretty quickly because I think I only have like 14 minutes. All right, for emotional intelligence, which letter do you think best goes with emotional intelligence? You can drop it in the chat and I'm just going to keep an eye on that. Awesome. So if you were thinking it's A, you're 100% spot on. Team player attitude. Which letter do you guys think best connects to team player attitude? If you're getting multiple letters for this one, you're spot on. Yep. And then for growth mindset, which letter do you guys think best connects with like growth mindset? Again, if you're getting multiple letters for this one, you're spot on. Openness to feedback. Yep, you guys are rocking it. You guys really you picked up what I was putting down and what Dan was putting down. This is great. Adaptability. Which letter do you guys think best resonates with that one? Yeah. Yep. If you're getting multiple letters, absolutely throw those in there. And then active listening. What about that one? Yep. Spot on. Good job. And then work ethic. Which letter do you think best resonates with that one? Yeah. Yep. You guys are all giving awesome answers. And so now that we've gotten to the end of the quiz, I will give you an answer key. Oh, I saw someone just come on camera. Do you have a question? Oh, okay. Maybe that was accident. So since I have the answer key, there's actually no wrong answer. All of these letters match with all of the soft skills. So congratulations, you guys all got an A. So this just goes to show you how universal soft skills really, really are. Each of these letters for team empowerment really can go with in any capacity with any of the soft skills listed on the left. So I hope that this was a little bit of an encouragement session for us as leaders and seasoned business professionals that we are allowed to still grow with our interpersonal and soft skills. And the space that we give our employees to coach them up and prepare them for their next level, we're allowed that same space as well. So I'm going to go to my next slide, which is just some simple things to try. You can throw this out to the wash, but just some simple things to try. Take the crazy idea. If you have a person on your team that is typically pretty quiet and they finally speak up and give a contribution to the meeting, and it actually makes a little bit of sense, it might be a stretch, but equally we're working on our growth mindset, right? Take the crazy idea, try it out. What could it hurt? It might hurt nothing, but it might win big. It might win big. Like I said before, take your team to the big meeting and give them not just the opportunity to present, but it's environmental exposure. You know, it's very important to get in the room. Spend time with your team. This is part of the emotional intelligence and connection. Team bonding and team building are two totally different things. That's a whole different presentation. But team bonding is going to a baseball game and everyone having fun and laughing about beer. Team building is doing exercises to help get connection for how we can work together better. Start separating those two and watch how your team starts to gel and build synergy, like Dan was saying before. Separating those two is really how you can get to a strong, established, connected team. Keep yourself accountable. Sometimes you might want to share what you're working on, and sometimes you don't. Either way, keep yourself accountable. If you did mention it to your leadership that you're going to work on some things, follow up with them. Don't wait until your annual or semi-annual review. Check in with them and say, hey, have you noticed anything different? Have you noticed me being on time to the meeting? Awesome. I'm working on that. Have you noticed my team is being more responsible and getting things done in a timely manner? Yep, we're working on that too. Also, part of keeping yourself accountable, check in with your team. Ask them, hey, have you noticed anything different about our morale as a team? I'm really working on connecting with you guys and getting to know you as individuals so I can help you grow as professionals. Accountability is really key to growing these types of skills. Another question that I would challenge us to ask ourselves, would I want to be managed in this way? And if your answer is no, that's when you realize that there's some things you can change. And that could be as simple as, if I'm telling my team I need something done, would I want someone to list it out 1, 2, 3, and 4? Or would I just want bullet points? So it's a little bit of a softer delivery. They still know what is required, but when they're looking at it, I'm no longer coming off as demanding. It's now an open communication zone because it's bullet points that come across less aggressive as 1, 2, 3, and 4. Next thing, like I said, consistency. If you know you want to get better at email engagement and email communication, be consistent. Instead of just starting with a name, say, good morning, Kirsten. I hope your weekend was great. This week, can you work on bullet point 1, bullet point 2, bullet point 3? If you have any questions, please let me know. Have a great week. I'll talk to you soon. Always have a greeting, always have a closing. Use bullet points instead of numbers because it's softer. Be consistent with that. It will take time, but be consistent. And the last thing to try, be and stay open to changing, to taking the feedback, to applying the feedback, to keeping your mindset of growth instead of going back to what we've always done. It's one thing to be open in the moment, but it's a totally different level when you're staying open and you're not shutting back down or closing yourself off because you said hi to your team every single day, and by Friday, people were still looking at you like an alien. They're still getting used to it. Don't close off, stay open. If you realize that being on time for the meeting actually causes you a little level of stress because that means you have to prepare sooner, stay open. You'll get it down. Look, being on time is like a life goal for me. Sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm not. But I stay open and I continue to try. So, okay, I'm at 11:09, so we're still good. So that being said, that's pretty much the end of my presentation. Does anyone have any questions or anything like that? I know I talk kind of fast, so if you missed anything or another point that you'd like me to address, please feel free to unmute yourself or drop it in the chat. Okay, I'm going to pull my chat up so I can see. Good information. Yep. Absolutely. Thanks, Nicole. Oh, thanks, Jay. Thanks, Kenneth. You guys are awesome.
Hey, Kirsten, it's Mark. You made a ton of really great points there. As particularly, caught my ear the difference between team bonding and team building. I think that's like a super critical thing because a lot of effort I've seen spending on, team bonding, which is nice, but it's not necessarily seen as a step towards team building. It's like having the icebreaker that has nothing to do with the content of the discussion or stuff like that. So I'm glad you threw that one in there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think team building is labeled with so many different things. And it's like, if we wanted to team build all the time, we would. Sometimes we just actually want to have fun. We don't have to have a message behind the fun sometimes. Awesome. Well, I don't know what I just did. Oh, okay, hold on. I just went out of presentation mode. Bear with me. It's been a while since I've done a presentation. So, okay, here's my code for if you wish to claim a PDU, and down at the bottom, we'll show you where it connects on the triangle. I am going to stop sharing my screen and kick it back over to Martin. I think I'm a few minutes early still. So if anyone has any questions, please drop them in the chat for me. But thank you guys.
Could we see the code again?
I'm sorry.
They want your
Could we
code.
see-
Oh, okay. Yeah, one moment.
Maybe we should put them in the chat for him.
Oh, yeah, good idea. Yeah. Awesome. I will drop it in the chat as well. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so my name is Martin White, and while I'm getting my screen set up, I just want to say, wow, between Dan and Kirsten, I don't know how I can follow such dynamic individuals, but I will do my best to tie it all together. I really appreciate the fact that I'm going last, because I get both presentations that I can bounce off of, and it'll probably make mine a little bit shorter and probably better when I just refer back to the 2 previous presentations. But like I said, my name is Martin White, and a little bit about me, 26 years retired military service. I have about 15 or so years experience in leading organizations and developing in the execution of strategic plans. Currently, I'm a mentor and a coach, and I do a lot of personal and team development. Kirsten was talking about, team building versus team bonding. That's really an important distinction. I've seen a lot of teams that function well together doing their thing, but are not really bonded individually, after hours, not necessarily that you have to be, but after the event or the game or the mission, they're not really bonded as a team. So that's imperative, I think. So I'm glad she brought that up. And again, I'll be referring back to both Kirsten and Dan's presentation because they were awesome. So my presentation is about strategy execution, right? That's what we're going to talk about. And that's where I'd like to really focus in on. Basically, your organization has its strategic goals, right? They put them out, them, but now what? The execution of those goals, the execution of your strategic goals are where the rubber meets the road. All the skill sets that we just previously talked about, your leadership skill set, identifying your team members, interpersonal skills, all that's going to come into play when you're trying to execute against your strategic plan or your organization's strategic goals. As project managers or people in charge of organizations, or even members in nonprofit organizations or whatever, the key to a successful organization, right, is to execute on the strategic goals. So we're going to get into that, and we're going to talk about 3 major things when you're talking about executing against strategic goals. That's the vision, the plan, and the action steps. So starting with the vision, right? And we often hear organizations talk about their mission statement or their vision statement. And I used to kind of get confused a little bit. I'm easily confused, apparently. But your vision in my definition, right, your vision is what you see when you close your eyes, right? The pie in the sky, the ultimate, the best thing ever for your organization, right? But when you open your eyes, the strategic plan are the steps necessary to complete that vision. So, excuse me, that's how I kind of equate the two. As a project management, as a project manager or a leader in your organization, there's a lot of things that go into not only understanding the vision and how it applies to the strategic objectives, but what else are you looking at in relationship to the vision and how we are executing against it. So we need to have a lot of things come into play with that, right? So one of them is market awareness. Are we aware of the market we're operating in, right? If we know the market we're operating in or the environment we're operating in, and we balance that against the vision, it'll give us, again, a clearer understanding. Are we aware of what our competitors are doing? Again, our vision, our personal or our organizational vision is unique to our organization, but it's not it's not exempt from outside influences or risk from the outside, right? So you have to weigh your vision against your market. What does that environment look like? Your competition, what are they looking like? And for us, you know, nonprofit organizations, let's say PMI in general, when we talk about competition, we're talking maybe about competing time commitments, because everyone's a volunteer, right? And when you volunteer your time, that means on top of your family, on top of your regular job, on top of anything else you may be volunteering for. I find that individuals that volunteer for one thing normally volunteer for multiple things. So it's kind of in our makeup and our DNA. So that, again, for nonprofit organizations, those are competitors or competing things that are competing against your individual members' time. So it's good to be aware of all that when we're discussing the vision and how we're going to execute the strategic goal based on the vision. And I think we kind of know what that means. So I'll keep pushing. I said we're going to talk about vision, planning, and action steps. I think this part is really the meat and potatoes of executing a strategic objective or your strategic goals for your organization, right? Planning. The planning part is critical. And like I alluded to in the vision, this part really relies heavily on assessing your environment, right? What are we operating in? Where are we operating? You know, what is the industry doing? And this, again, is applicable not only in nonprofits, but, you know, all industries, all genres, because no matter if you're in manufacturing, if you're in tech, if you're in the healthcare space, you still want to be aware of what's happening in your environment and put that awareness, apply that awareness to your strategic planning. Yes, I see in the chat, so much power in a good plan. Yes, Kirsten, there is. So again, as project managers, or business leaders or leaders within some nonprofit organization, what does that look like, right? What does the planning look like? So you have to first, in your planning efforts, right, you got to know the vision and you got to know what the strategic plan is or set forth by your organization. And a lot of us don't have input into that strategic plan. We just need to execute against it. But we still have to know what our users want, right? What the end user wants. What does the customer want? Is that an internal customer? Is that an external customer? That goes into the plan, right? End user, what does the end user want? And you can do market research. We can do, you know, I've been in a lot of organizations on a lot of Zoom calls or team meetings where we're doing surveys within the meeting. So that's a way to get information, you know, about what the customer wants. And you need to take a big picture approach. when you're, again, strategy or a strategic plan is a big picture approach. It's not really getting into the nooks and crannies of, you know, the sausage making, but it's saying we want to make sausages. That's, you know, that's the strategic plan. But you need to keep in mind you need to keep a holistic approach to your planning. And again, competition plays a big role. What are they doing? And for planning purposes, the importance of looking at your competition, right, is not necessarily what they executed well. It's good too, but use them as a lessons learned. Use their mistakes in order for you to avoid mistakes in your organization. It's always good for someone else to make the mistake and you just learn from it than from you learning from your own mistakes, right? But you know, for those of us that have children and we try to tell them ahead of time what's down the road and they don't listen and they have to make their own mistakes, I guess they call that growth. But for business purposes, I like to learn from somebody else's mistakes first. And while you're doing this, right, while you're looking at the market and you're learning from your competitors, and you're watching what they do in order to implement a better plan, you want to always be mindful that you're going to have to advise your leadership on these things as well. If you're not personally or intimately responsible with developing the plan, this, that, and the other, it doesn't mean that you can't have market awareness and you can't have input into the plan. So again, this is useful for the organization as a whole, for you personally as a leader or a member, because part of that market awareness and knowing what the competition is doing will feed into the plan that you share with your leadership or those, you know, actually making those kind of decisions, which leads me here to the actual executive level engagement or engaging the executives, right? As a project manager or a leader in your organization, it's very important that you engage the executive level leadership for several reasons. One is in order to get their take on the vision, right? Understanding how they see the vision and how they see the strategic plan being implemented through the eyes of the vision. The better you understand what your bosses want, right? The better we can execute against that. When we assume that we know, or we just take it for granted that it's always been done this way without actually engaging leadership. And when I say engaging leadership, some of us don't have access to the highest levels of leadership, but whatever level we do have access to, we want to make sure that we are getting, you know, as straight from the horse's mouth, sort of say, what the vision is and how the strategic plan plays into that vision. And as a project manager, right, if I just keeping with the vein of project managers, as a project manager, you have to always be prepared to brief or engage with senior leadership in order for you to convey to them how you are going to execute against the strategy and get the buy-in from them that, yeah, that's a good plan. That seems reasonable. That's it. That is in line with our organization's vision and our strategic plan. And I know I keep saying that over and over again, but that is really the case. You want to always be in line. The vision needs to be in line with the strategic plan. And again, engaging with leadership, Dan hit on it. Kirsten hit on it some, and that was, so that really helped me here because I don't need to go too in depth with that. We talked about the engagement with leadership, right? And explain or getting their explanation of the vision, making sure you're clear on that, getting their explanation or their take on the strategic plan, make sure you're clear on that, and then coming to the table with ideas or solutions. And a lot of times, right, this is the rub. A lot of times our ideas or solutions are based around metrics. And I want to take a little bit of time here. I know I speak fast, so I'm gonna slow it down. So a lot of our solutions or planning are based around metrics. And I think we get wrapped up in metrics, but what we need to be sure of is that we're measuring the right thing. You know, sometimes we measure stuff just to measure it, and it has no value towards actual capturing actual production or actual output or actual success. It's just a number. So what we're measuring is important. How we're measuring it is important also. Here, I'll tell you a quick story. I was involved in a warehouse project, and the warehouse, or it was actually a process improvement project. And one of the things that they were struggling with was meeting volume at the end of the month. And there's a lot of information and a lot of background information that goes into this, but follow me just on the surface level for a second. So the issue was meeting volume at the end of the month. And they couldn't understand why they weren't doing that, because their metric was basically 600 units of whatever a day, processing, moving 600 units a day. And by their estimation, by doing that at the end of the month, they should meet their volume goals, right? And this should be, everything should be fine. 600 a day, we're good to go. Now, regularly, they met that metric. They met that 600 units a day, but more than often, they failed to meet the volume goal at the end of the month. And this is a long story to come to this point right here. They were measuring units per day, but for example, and this is not the case, but for example, if they were processing K-cups, each K-cup was considered a single unit. Or they're processing winter coats. Each winter coat was considered a single unit. So you can see how measuring those two items the same and looking for the same amount of volume at the a satisfactory amount of volume at the end of the month didn't quite work. You know, I can get a box of 100 K-cups and I can move 100 units, you know, and be halfway done with my work for the day, or 300 units and be halfway done with my work for the day. Where another individual could get a box of winter coats and it takes him all day just to process, you know, 20 of those or 40 of those. And again, it's an exaggerated example, kinda, it's a real case, but the metrics are important. So I kind of sat here for a minute just to give you an opportunity to think about the way you measure things and what are you measuring, right? And if that measurement or that metric is actually going to get you closer to your goal, whatever that goal may be. And does the metric actually indicate performance? And again, we can sit here for a while. There's a lot of different ways to skin the cat, and there's a lot of organizations that have metrics. I've been in several that I felt like the metric really wasn't meeting the goal that they had originally designed for that metric. But, you know, sometimes they changed, sometimes they didn't. So that leads me to this, this slide, right? And the gentleman here is Lord Calvin. His actual name is William Thompson. You might know him because we still use his unit of measurement, absolute measurement, right? Kelvins. And one of the things he said is when you can measure something, if you can measure it and speak to it, then you know something about that, right? If you can measure it, then you know about it. And the reason I bring him into the conversation after metrics and measuring is because he was around, you know, 1800s, and we adopted a lot of in the early 1900s, you know, when you're talking about when we first started doing productions or assembly lines or stuff like that, we were focused on the simple act of measuring, right? What is the number you're producing of this thing? And the point that we were trying to drive to at early stages of business, right, was to control what you were measuring, to control the output of your factory, your organization, you know, through measurement, right? And a little bit of not only executing against your strategic plan, right? You need measurements and stuff, but a little bit of process improvement thrown in there. You would always try to get as close to 0 defects as you possibly could with your process, right? And that's what we were doing. That's for process improvement, trying to get 0 defects. As a project manager, right, or a PMP certified project manager, I'll just use that for example, we're always trying to initiate, plan, execute, monitor, and then control our projects before we close them. Control is a big element in the process or project management methodology, PMI methodology, and it just in business in general. And I would challenge you to say this, right? In today's world of, you know, unlimited knowledge and you know, very dynamic working environment or environment in general, I would challenge you to say that simply focusing on the measurement and the control is a little bit limiting, right? And I can say that because as everybody knows, over the last 1.5, 2 years, whatever, we've been dealing with COVID, and COVID kind of left everybody out of control. They were not in control of the environment. They were not in control of how many people were still working, showing up to work. They weren't in control of their supply chain. So they weren't in control at all. And that's again, an exaggerated example, but I think that if we just simply base everything on controlling, then we're kind of missing the mark and we're not looking at the big picture. And that is really, I think, the key to organizational success, business success, and success against your strategic objectives. So what is the big picture? I think the big picture is balance. And that should be the goal, is balance. If you seek balance rather than control, so you balance your company's assets, time, resources, and I think you can get a better outcome by utilizing all aspects of your strategic vision, or your vision and your strategic plan, and seeking ultimately for your organization equal balance amongst several factors. And in business specifically, they call this a balanced scorecard. Now, I can apply this to anything, but for strategic business and the execution of your strategic business, why do I think balance is better than control? And you can look at this slide, but we'll speak to it a little bit. When you're talking about how your customer in the upper left-hand quadrant, customer satisfaction, right? How does that play into your organization? Well, that is the voice of the customer, right? We all are trying to listen to our customer, be that internal, again, internal, external customers. You're trying to listen to your customer and get the feedback from them and satisfy what they would consider to be a quality product, right? They need to feel like whatever you provided to them was quality. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is financial, like return on investment. So that's satisfying your stakeholders, right? The people that are intimately involved in your organization, that may be your bosses, that may be actual shareholders, that may be your members. If you're talking about nonprofit organizations such as the PMI chapter, Hampton Roads, you know, what is the return on investment? That's to them. The other quadrant, or another quadrant, is your internal processes, right? So what is that? The voice of your process. How are we able to duplicate this product, process, outcome? You know, what is the capacity of our process? Can it do X number of this, X number of that? Can it generate X number of members? Can it generate, you know, X number of qualified individuals? What is the process and what is its capacity? And then finally, the education and growth piece. And that finally, but so that right there, and it speaks to what Kirsten was talking about and what Dan was talking about, you know, employees, the people that work for you, around you, and with you, need to feel valued. They need to feel like they're growing. They need to feel like, you know, they have an opportunity for training and advancement within your organization. So when you balance all these four things out, and there are other things you could possibly add into this, but when you balance these out, right, that allows you to execute your strategic plan. It allows you to have a more well-rounded, forward-thinking organization, and it will keep your organization moving in the right direction. Instead of focusing on any one particular area, my suggestion is you balance all areas of your organization, and that, again, will get you, hopefully, if the plan is set and the plan is well thought out, it'll help you execute against that plan and reach whatever your organization considers to be success. So let me just check my time and the chat. I don't think there's anything in the chat, and I think I got a couple of minutes. Let me hurry up. So we talked about measuring, we talked about the balanced scorecard, right? And this is just speaking to change, right? You got to be willing to change and to grow, even with your metrics, or because they're not necessarily static. The way you measure stuff, where you measure it at in your process, your metrics may not necessarily be static. You have to be willing to change and grow as a person, as an organization, as an individual, as a leader in your organization. All these things need to come into play, because if you're not comfortable with change, and I don't think a lot of us are comfortable with change, but we just should not be resistant. Okay, I'm not comfortable with change, but I'm not resistant to change either. I'm not a hindrance to change, right? Because as they say, either you innovate or die. That's the bottom line. And business and in society, yes, I see, and change is inevitable. I like to I like to say sometimes everybody wants change, but nobody wants to do anything different. So, you know, there's that. I don't know how you expect to get to the change part without doing anything different. And I've consulted a lot of organizations, and they talk about, well, we want to, you know, this, and this. Okay, so we're going to do this different. No, that's how we've always done it. Well, if it worked for you in the past, you wouldn't be where you're at now, right? So you got to kind of do something different to get different results. I think that's the definition of something, insanity. Yeah. That's true. People want to stay the same and magically change. Yes, I like that, Nicole. But I think that's enough on that. We all get the point. You know, change is inevitable. Embrace it. If you can't embrace it, at least don't be the resistant factor for your organization. So when we talk about the vision, the planning, and then the action steps, right? And as you see in this slide, kind of, sort of, it's people. People are, when you talk about action or motion in your organization, it's all based on the people. And if the people are engaged and aligned with your strategy, you know, that's a win all the way around. So again, we go back to making sure we're investing in our people, we're building them up. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked reading the quote. But so people are your plan. People are your purpose. People are what's going to bring your organization to the next level. And I say people as plural. It's normally not just one individual. Like Dan mentioned, you know, even Michael Jordan couldn't have won all those games just by himself. So it's plural, people, not you, not one outstanding individual contributor. You got to grow everybody. This leads us to the big team effort, right? When everybody pulls together, we all win. And this has been covered with Kirsten's talk and Dan's talk, so I'm not going to really beat that up, but team player, definitely. And this goes into pretty much coming towards the end. I put this slide in here because in today's environment, a lot of us deal with cross-functional teams, so we're not exactly in charge of the individuals. So we have to lead without authority. And that's a whole nother topic, a whole nother, you could spend hours talking about the nuances of leading without authority. Just recognize that that is a challenge in today's environment, and it's a challenge when it comes to executing against your strategic plan, is being able to lead individuals without actually having authority. And if you're in that position as a leader, whether you have authority or not, the biggest part of that is credibility. And we talked about, Dan talked about it, and I think Kirsten talked about it. Credibility for me, it just means to build trust, and you build trust through transparency and communication. So as long as I'm communicating, and I'm transparent, you know, even when I make a mistake, I think my team will respect me, and I will gain credibility with my, you know, with the higher ups as well as those, my peers. You know, yeah, I can make a mistake. I own it. I keep moving. Don't try to push the blame off on anybody else, because everybody sees that. You're not fooling anyone. Adaptive leadership style. We discussed that. Dan discussed it. And Kirsten discussed it. So again, a whole lot of information there. We're not gonna belabor the point here. And lastly, I just want to say that when you're developing your team, it needs to be a win-win situation. When you're negotiating with your team, or when you're trying to grow people, it needs to be a win-win. How can we get to yes? Because ultimately, everyone you work with and deal with, it's relationships, it's relational. And if you do good relationship management with respect, trust, and communication and understanding, you will have a great team. You'll work in a great organization, and you'll be able to execute your strategic vision and your strategic plan effectively. I know I said a lot, but are there any questions? Kirsten, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I wanted to put our disclaimer out there. So myself, Dan, and Martin, we did not see each other's presentations before this. We are just all awesome, like-minded people. Great job, Martin.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Is there anything else in the chat or any questions? Here's the PDU claim code. And I know I went through this a little bit fast. You can reach out to me via email, or just watch this over again, either way, and we can elaborate on any of the sections that we went over. But I appreciate your time, and I guess I will turn it back over to Mark.
Yes, you will, and you have. All right, Martin, thank you very much for that. I'd like to take this second, this moment or two, to, first off, I want to thank Dan and Kirsten and Martin and everybody else behind them at the Project Management Institute of Hampton Roads for giving their time, and sharing and helping elevate community leadership today. Excuse me. Now, I know Dan mentioned that he's got the big giveaway. But before we do that, let me just do a little bit of stuff for you. So I'm going to drop a few things into the chat box. I will encourage you to, there's 3 links in there. Just click on each one of them, get them open in your browser, and then don't do anything with them until we're done. So the first link in there is our survey. Now, Martin had mentioned that when he was talking about metrics, he said, organizations will measure things. The question, may be, are they measuring the right things? So right now, I've got a wonderful measure for today of, up to at our peak, we had 60 people in here, which is, that's pretty cool from a numbers perspective. But what really makes a difference is whether or not you're able to take what you learned today and take it back to your home organization, be it your day job, be it membership association or whatever, and apply some of this stuff. So I encourage you to open our little 1-minute survey there. It's just like 3 questions. And when you have a moment, not right now, but go ahead and answer those, because that's the feedback that helps tune what PDCHR brings to you. So I appreciate that. If you could do that. Also, there's a couple other links coming up next from the Professional Development Consortium of Hampton Roads on August 10th at noon is how to build winning teams. Certainly a lot of you heard today is going to flow nicely into that. A good friend of mine, Dr. Kai McKee, she'll be talking about all kinds of stuff about building winning teams. And then finally, the bottom link in what I dropped in there is all of our events, or at least what's still posted for the rest of the year. We got about half of next year fleshed out, but we haven't put that up there yet. So like I said, open all 3 of these and then go deal with them later. Let's see, do we have that? So there was a question I saw about Martin's claim code that's in the chat room as well. So good for that. So with that, I'm going to say, thanks for attending. I'll come back and close out a little bit, but let me turn it back over to Dan to, do the big drawing. So Dan, it's all yours, sir.
All right, here I am. You should see a spinny wheel on the screen. Somebody give me a shout out, make sure you can see that. So I've copied the list of folks that were in the Zoom meeting in here, and we're going to give away 1 ticket to the Professional Development Conference on August 26th. Aminata Nadoy, if I said that right. Are you out there, Aminata? Go ahead and unmute yourself. Just want to make sure you're here. And
well, it looks like I'm not with us right this second.
all right, must be present to win. We'll try again. Ariadam Laswardi. Are you out there?
Was, but isn't.
They're peeling off.
Right?
All right, we'll get this.
This has actually been the longest part of our sessions.
Yeah, unfortunately, it usually takes longer to give.
There's only a couple people who've been so far. So.
Jerry Karagianakis.
Who also departed early.
Okay.
Spin harder.
Kenneth Pettit.
Bang. Also was here and then departed.
Okay. Well, the good news is as they leave, they increase the chances of the people that stay.
Right. I notice no one has left since we started spinning, so that's good.
Peggy Farrell.
Peggy Farrell, come on down. We know
I
you're
am here.
Yay.
Peggy, have you registered for the PDC already?
I have not registered, so I'm very excited.
All right. So you just message me, president@PMIHR.org, and I will get that taken care of for you.
Thank you very much.
All right. One more thing real quick that I forgot to show from our previous slide deck. Not that one. Gotta get to the right. June chapter meeting, July chapter meeting. There we go. All right. I just got to show this real quick because we have sponsors that we want to just thank for the PMI Hampton Roads at each of our meetings. We just recognize them: Marathon Consulting, Blue Summit Consulting Group, tech systems, and Newport shipbuilding have all contributed towards PMI Hampton Roads. So we just appreciate them and their support. And we certainly thank Mark Bowers and the Professional Development Consortium, if I can say the word, for their hosting of today's event. And it was very exciting to see you all here. So I hope you have an amazing Saturday. Back to you, Mark.
All right, thanks again, Dan. I'm going to just go ahead and say thanks to everybody for being here one more time. You got those links, so I hope to see you at another event. And with that, you are free to move about the country. Look at this, we ended 9 minutes early. Enjoy that gift of time. Go do something good for your community with that. So again, thanks a lot. If you have any questions, you got tons of emails from me already, so we'll just deal with that. Have a great day.
All right. Bye, everybody.